14-day district court for County Michigan is now back in session. The Honorable Judge Simpson. You may be seated.
Welcome back to Trial Truth, where real courtroom moments expose how justice actually unfolds. Today we're in Michigan, and things are about to heat up fast. The case? The People versus Henry McKean Shapiro, a university student who pushed his luck just a bit too far. What started as a simple bond condition turned into a tense standoff between a young man's defiance and a judge's patience. Judge Simpson doesn't play games, and you'll see that in every word he says. From academic halls to jail cells, this hearing has everything. Legal loopholes, emotional twists, and a judge who's had enough. Stay locked in, because what's coming next isn't just about one student breaking the rules. It's about how far a court's mercy can stretch before it snaps.
Court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Henry McKean Shapiro.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm with you on behalf of the people.
Lauren asking on behalf of Mr. McKean Shapiro, who stands to my left.
All right, this is the people's motion regarding revocation of bond. Go ahead.
Thank you. Your Honor, on September 17, 2024, this defendant was given a set of bond conditions. One of those conditions was that the defendant could be on the U of M campus only for the purposes of attending class and or for the purposes of employment. On March 28, 2025, which you have articulated in the motion, the defendant violated that specific bond condition. He was photographed in Angel Hall, putting up flyers at approximately 10:25 a.m. He did not have a class in Angel Hall. He was not working at Angel Hall. He had no purpose to be there, and therefore the people believe that it was a violation. Attached to our motion, we have attached several documents. One was the bond order, which outlines the conditions that he was governed to by this court.
Here's where the tension really starts. The prosecutor methodically lays out every step of the violation. Timestamps, class schedules, and photos. This isn't guesswork. She's showing the court that the defendant was exactly where he shouldn't be, doing what he wasn't supposed to do. From a legal perspective, this is textbook bond violation proofing. When a defendant is out on bond, the court owns your schedule. You can't treat those terms like suggestions. They're strict orders. But the real kicker? She's not even arguing about intent. She's saying it doesn't matter why he was there. Intent can't save him here, because bond rules are about compliance, not excuses. Viewers, what do you think? Should the judge take leniency because he's a student, or does violating a court order deserve immediate punishment?
The others were photographs of the defendant on March 28 at Angel Hall, putting up those wanted flyers. We also attached the defendant's class schedule. His class schedule indicated that he did have class that day at a different building, that being the MLB building from 9 to 10. And after that, according to his own response, he had a quiz that he was supposed to take, but that quiz was also in that same building. He had no purpose to be in the Angel Hall building at all. He was not there for class. He was not there for the purposes of employment. He was photographed there putting up posters, but I really don't even think that is the issue. The issue is that the bond conditions of this court is that he's only supposed to be on campus for the purposes of employment and or class. And clearly, the photographs indicated that on March 28, 2025, at approximately 10:25 a.m., he was not doing either of those things. And so, Your Honor, with that, we request that the court does find that there is a violation, and how the court needs to deal with the violation, we need to discuss.
Thank you. Saskia.
My client is acknowledging that he did violate the bond conditions. Although he was on campus for class and he went there to study, he does acknowledge that he had no purpose to be in that building, although he was there to seeing friends for a moment. So although he was there and he was there during a break, he was not supposed to be in that particular building.
Now, the defense steps up, doing what every defense lawyer must: damage control. She admits her client violated the bond but tries to soften it. He was just visiting friends, taking a break between classes. Smart move legally. By admitting the violation early, she preserves credibility before Judge Simpson. But emotionally, that's dangerous ground. Judges hate when their orders are treated like casual guidelines. And watch the tone. She's humanizing him, painting the moment as harmless. But the prosecution has hard proof: photos, timestamps, and a clear rule breach. This is the clash between technical guilt and emotional defense, one rooted in empathy, the other in evidence. Question for the audience: does honesty help here, Or does admitting the violation just make sentencing inevitable?
Accept the admission of the defendant to the bond violation. Mr. McKean Shapiro, anything you want to tell the court before I impose sentence?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, let me just tell you this, sir. Throughout this entire case, I've been taking it at a pace, particularly so that you know, recognizing that some of you as students were set to graduate. You were one of those. I either have to believe that you just through some willful and wanton reason just decided you wanted to violate this court's order. And in that way view you as one that I certainly have to protect the public. On the other hand, I almost want to think about you as just being stupid. And I hate using that word, but this is just absolute stupidity. When I saw the photographs of what you were doing, and understand, I'm not going to issue a sanction because of the content of those flyers and the speech that may be in that, as vile as it is. I'm not doing it for those reasons. I'm doing it because you have to understand that in some way you have to conform to rules. Somehow or another, from the very beginning of this case up until that date, you were able to do it. And I don't know how you just lost your mind that day and just decided you were going to do something else. I told your counsel when we were back discussing it in chambers, and I'll just make it real clear, that upon seeing that, unless you gave me some good explanation, I was just going to send you. You were just going to sit till this case ended. You need to thank your attorney that she was able to convince me that maybe that wouldn't be the best thing in the world. Because I don't issue orders I don't intend to enforce. You violate them, I'll hear you out. I'll allow you that due process to be able to explain to me what happened. I think as Mr. Macklin, when he was arraigning before, I have difficulty sometimes with these orders regarding the U of M. I grew up in Ann Arbor. I understand that sometimes you can be walking around, you're on city property, the next thing you know, you're on university property. I get all of that. That wasn't this. You were someplace you weren't supposed to be, quite frankly, doing something you shouldn't have been doing given the circumstances that you're in at this time.
This is where the judge's patience breaks. His words slice through any defense left standing. You were someplace you weren't supposed to be. No legal jargon, no fluff, just authority. This is a turning point, not just legally, but morally. He's telling Henry that defiance has a cost, and the courtroom isn't a classroom where excuses work. Notice how Simpson builds the logic. First, he shows he understands the gray area. Ann Arbor borders can confuse anyone, then cuts it down by proving the violation was deliberate. That's how judges neutralize defense spin. This is powerful judicial framing, empathy, then enforcement. And viewers, have you ever seen a judge switch from understanding to decisive punishment this fast?
Where is your graduation going to occur?
One is off campus, and there's another in the big house.
Where?
The Michigan State Theater.
But that's a UM sanctioned event.
I don't believe it's university property, though.
Okay, amen. I get that. But the event is being put on by the university, right?
Correct.
And in here lies the problem. Tell me how I can trust you to behave yourself not only just on university property, but at any university event?
I have no intention of attending that event for any other reason than receiving my diploma.
Why am I supposed to, how am I supposed to believe you? See, that's what the problem is here. You're asking me to trust you. How am I supposed to trust you?
At the moment that I receive my diploma, I'm willing to, I will not have any more contact with the University of Michigan in any regard.
That's the only ceremony you were attending?
That was the only one I was planning on attending.
So you are not going to the one at the stadium?
No.
The other thing that your attorney convinced me not to do, because quite frankly, I was concerned certainly about those of you that were graduating initially when this case came along. Very concerned in making sure that you got there. But your behavior, in my mind, almost had you forfeit that right to be at that graduation.
This one hits hard emotionally. Judge Simpson ties the consequence directly to something symbolic: graduation. He's not just sentencing a student, he's forcing him to face the real-life weight of his actions. He points out that walking the stage isn't just about the student, it's about family pride. And when he says Henry jeopardized that for his parents, it lands like a moral hammer. That's the brilliance of Judge Simpson's courtroom philosophy. Justice with humanity. He enforces rules but never forgets the people affected. Even the audience in the courtroom goes quiet. You can feel the gravity. Would you agree with this approach? Is making a student confront parental disappointment a more effective lesson than jail time?
Basically, just sort of flushing down the toilet, if you will, the symbolic representation of the time that you spent. But your attorney pointed out something to me, because your dad's here. And I guess sometimes what kids don't realize is you're getting that piece of paper, but you're walking across that stage is more for them than it is for you. That's what you jeopardize for your parents. So the only reason that I'm even, and I don't know your dad, I never met him, wouldn't be able to pick him out of the crowd that's out there, but I'm just going to tell you something. The only reason I'm fashioning something that allows you to attend that graduation is for your parents.
Much appreciated, Your Honor.
They shouldn't suffer because of your stupidity. Because that's something they never get back. But you're going to have to pay a consequence for it. Everybody else here has been able to conduct themselves as best I know in a fashion to comply with the court's orders. You did not. Your attorney has convinced me that sending you to jail for 10 days through the graduation commencement weekend would be unduly burdensome to you and your family. So here's what I'm going to do. I think it appropriate that you spend time in jail for violation of the court's orders. And I do consider it not just a violation of that order, but I consider it a willful violation that you did. You knew better. So, Mr. Allen, so it's going to be the sentence of the court. You're going to spend 4 days in the Washtenaw County Jail.
This way.
Thank you, sir. Oh.
Shame.
Stay here. Stay here.
Stay right there, sir.
Just stay still. Good. You're good.
Do you have anything on you?
Hmm?
Do you have anything on you?
Put your hand
No, no.
You can put you in.
You're going to spend 4 days in the Washtenaw County Jail.
Now the judgment lands. 4 days in jail. Short, but symbolic. Judge Simpson calls it what it is. Willful disobedience. He's making sure the punishment fits both the action and the lesson. Notice how he delivers it calmly without theatrics. That's real authority. No shouting, just finality. He also orders a GPS tether, a legal leash ensuring Henry won't step foot near campus again. That's modern enforcement at work. Technology guarding compliance. The psychology here is fascinating. Simpson crafts a punishment that teaches restraint without destroying the defendant's future. 4 days of reflection versus 10 days of regret. For viewers, do you think short, meaningful jail terms teach accountability better than longer sentences?
I'm going to release you after those 4 days. So that you know, today counts. So it's not like 4 days from today. Should be out Sunday. You'll be placed on a GPS tether for your location to make sure that you do not enter any University of Michigan property. So be careful when you're walking, once you're out, when you're walking around, that you don't just stray there, because particularly down where your commencement is, you know what I'm talking. There's areas that are U of M property. You understand that?
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay. Defendant is remanded.
Yeah.
It's released on that day. Counsel, because of just the timing of it, so that, because normally I would say that he can't be released without the tether, but because of the timing and only giving him 4 days and not giving him 5, he would be released on Sunday. Community corrections is not open. I'm still going to allow the release at that time. And then on Monday, he's going to have to report to community corrections to get the tether.
Okay, what time do they go?
8,
Yeah, 8 or 8:30.
8 or 8:30. Well, I'll just put it this way. He'll have to be there before noon on Monday. All right. Has that woman been removed from my building? She out of my building? Folks, there's still the argument on the disqualification motion, which certainly I will hear. They're gonna have to process him in and then get him back in here. So I'm gonna let that process occur, and I'm gonna take a brief recess. And then we'll come back and folks, before you get up, would you have a seat, please? Understand something. All of these things are difficult. You may not like the court's rulings. A lot of thought has gone into them. I need you to also understand that while that defendant did what he did and he took responsibility for it, I also have 6 defendants that have properly followed the court's orders and have not placed themselves in any jeopardy. What happened in that case is he did it to himself. But anybody that wants to have an outburst, you can have an outburst all you want, but you're just going to be removed from my building. I'm not going to tolerate it. It's not fair to these defendants as well as Mr. McKinney Shapiro to have their case properly heard. So I'm going to expect that everyone will conduct themselves in conformity with it.
And that's where it ends. Judge Simpson brings the hammer down with control and clarity. What started as a bond violation turned into a masterclass in courtroom discipline. Henry McKean Shapiro walked in a student and walked out with a lesson most people never forget. Freedom is conditional when you test the limits of court orders. This case shows how the justice system can still balance punishment with compassion. A 4-day jail term paired with a second chance to graduate. It's not about ruining lives, it's about restoring respect for the law. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.